We're going to start in just a few minutes. There is coffee over here. And we're going to try to free up some seats here in the back. Some of us have been here a couple days and already been through some of this training. So we're going to try to free up a few more seats. But again, if there's not a place for you to sit, you might need to watch from the live stream outside. But we'll start in just a few minutes. All right, welcome. My name is Ryan McReynolds. I'm part of the Google Crew Google Apps Change Management team, and we are thrilled to begin Google Guide training. Thank you so much for being here and being a part of our Google Guide training. I'm going to walk through a PowerPoint with Stacy Fletcher, who will be up here in a second, to just orient you for the time today and give you a vision for where we're headed. So if I could have the PowerPoint up on the screen. You are all Google Guides. Thank you for helping guide our organization forward as we begin to use Google Apps for our ministry. Next slide. Today we're going to cover in just a few brief minutes, this section, just a few brief minutes, we'll talk about our vision, what a Google Guide is, why you're here, what the benefits are, how we'll prepare, some of the things you'll get, next steps. So that's what we're going to do in just a few minutes, and then we'll begin the official training. Well, what's our vision for all of this? Well, we believe that Google for Crew, Google Apps for Crew, will allow us to connect and care for the people we minister to. And there's two aspects to this. One is we genuinely believe and pray that using the Google Apps digital suite will help us to be able to care for all those that we are currently ministering to faster and with less effort than we do now. But then the second aspect is we believe that by making this transition, it will open up possibilities to collaborate with other believers around the world to build spiritual movements so that everyone would know someone who truly follows Jesus. That's our heart and prayer in this. You know, in the last millennia, there was another technological innovation, the printing press, that fueled the Reformation. Communications technologies have enormous ability to change how the gospel is shared and preached. And so our heart and prayer in all this is that each of us would be empowered to engage in our missionary endeavor with greater effectiveness. So that's our vision. What is a Google Guide? What is it we're inviting you all to be a part of? Well, primarily, it's a peer-to-peer support group of new experts in this new system of tools. So it's very strategic, And you are going to be those who help others engage in this change. One thing that is true far and wide, I was part of a research study that proved this empirically, that crew staff prefer to learn from other crew staff. Because you know how it is if you're on staff, it's kind of a unique existence. There's a lot of challenges and things that you have that your friends at church or others might not understand. And so when someone proposes a new tool, if they're on staff, we often intuitively know they understand my world and this will probably be a good thing. That's why it's so important that you're here, a part of this training, because you will help other crew staff to understand this change and to help them be able to implement it effectively in their ministry. And so you will be the first line of help during our training and go live processes as everyone in the U.S. begins to use their new Google Apps tools. So why were you selected? Well, some of you are such leaders that you just volunteered and said, I want to be a Google Guide because I want to help my fellow crew staff get the most out of this change. And others of you are leaders that were recognized by those you work with or work for, and they said, this person would be a great person to guide others in this new tool. So, many of you are identified because you're self-motivated, you're patient, you're kind, and emotionally mature. And I want to highlight that one because I have a family, and when change happens in our family, different family members react differently. And so there's times where, because I'm the dad, I have to be the adult in the room, and sometimes I'm not. And thankfully, my wife can play that role in those moments. Well, in this change process, it's going to be hard for some just because it's change. And it's hard for all of us at some level. So we are asking you as Google Guides to help shepherd people through this process. And though they might have difficulty and it might be emotionally, bring emotional upheaval, we're asking you to help guide them and to absorb some of that so that they can make that transition. And we believe this training will help you be technologically savvy with these tools. This is not highly technical. What we're going to be teaching are things every single staff person can and will do on a daily basis. So it's not that it's hard, it's just new and different. And so you're going to be well trained to be able to do this. You are also going to be among the first to reap the rewards. Not only will you be in a leadership role and be able to encourage your fellow staff, and that's going to be fun, but you will be the first to gain the efficiency and the collaboration power of this new suite of tools. And I personally am very excited about that I think this is going to help all of us, and those of us in this group, first fruits, to be able to enjoy the improvements that this suite of tools will bring. And also, we're going to get some Google swag, stuff we all get, right? You'll get some fun gifts and things that Stacy will tell us a little more about. But we think this will be a lot of fun and that you'll benefit from the process. So this rollout is part of a very detailed, very well thought through plan, and we are right in the middle of it. And so this may be the first that you're hearing the details of the plan, but the plan is very detailed and very well thought through, but you don't have to be concerned with all the details. We are right in the middle of the plan, and the next slide shows how simple it really is. There's a group of us that were in the core group at the beginning that tried to set things up, and you and a whole host of others are in the middle group, the early adopter group, and your accounts, your new crew apps accounts will be turned on February 8th through February 11th. And we will test everything so that everyone who comes after us has a great experience. And that will happen during the Global Go Live. March 4th, here at Lake Hart, that's when all the Lake Hart accounts will go live. And then March 11th is when everyone in the US will go live. And that's when we as Google Guides will be helping our fellow staff to make the transition. So that gives you an overview of the process. And I'm going to turn it over to Stacy Fletcher. If I had days and days, I could explain all that Stacy's done to make this transition. So I just want to say, for all of us as we go through this, thank you for all your work, Stace.
Ryan and I love to work together because we provide so much comic relief when we're standing next to each other. So we've been providing that to fellow staff for years. I'm Stacy Fletcher. You have received a lot of emails from me over the time. I've probably emailed with everybody in this room at some point or another. So thank you for being here. Thank you for reading those emails and responding to them. As you continue to have questions, most of you already know, if you have questions, first go to our online learning center. So it's the Crew is Going Google website. And if you don't know where that is, find any Go Google email that you've received, and there is a link to it on there. It's usually under FAQ, sometimes it's under timeline. Basically, if there's a link on there, it leads you to that website because all the information that you will need is on there. But here's one of the key caveats. It's the information that you need right now. And so I know that there's questions that you have that are unanswered, like how will I exactly do this in this new process? And when you need that information, we will add it on there. We don't want to overwhelm you with all the information at one time. And so we will continue giving you emails. We'll explain what it's going to look like when your account transitions over and what to expect and what to do. We'll explain how to set things up from Outlook and from importing things in from another Gmail account. All that information will come after your account is live and you can actually do something with it. Because really, otherwise you're just going to file it away and probably not be able to find it when you actually need it. So just so you know, the information is coming. But if you have questions and your answers are not on that website, yes? How do you get on the internet? We will answer that in just 1 second. Felistia has the... Do you want to just say it?
Finish with this.
We'll give it to you in just 1 second. Sorry, can you go back? Thanks. So one of the things for you as a Google Guide is to familiarize yourself with that site. All the FAQs that you're going to be asked are on there. And so you're a front line of answers to the people around you. And so the more familiar you are with those, the better you'll be able to fulfill your role as a Google Guide. And so please familiarize yourself with those as we go. And any questions that aren't answered on that, please email them to us at gogoogle@crew.org. Another thing that we would ask you as a Google Guide is to live in Google. So once your account is turned on, it's easy to just kind of go, I'll figure that out later. I don't need to know how to do it immediately. Anything you need to do your job over the next 3 weeks after your account's turned on, figure out how to do it so that when other staff are coming on, you're ahead of them and you can help them and you can go, well, this is what I did and this is how it worked for me. And so go ahead and take that step and live there and settle in and figure out how to do things and ask questions when you need help. Felistia is an incredible trainer. I'll introduce her more, but she's going to give you everything you need to know today. And then you guys are the advocates. And so, it says up there to be aware of water cooler talk, but one of the things that I've been experiencing and reminded once again this morning is that I actually have never experienced so much spiritual battle against something in all the things that I've done on staff. And so you will experience those things too. You guys are now on the front lines of this. And so I just, ask you, and God has continued to ask me again and again, just to prepare my heart with Him for it. And, that we are not against flesh and blood. We're not against technology, but against Satan. And he does not want this to happen. Every detail along the way has just not worked. And so, not because Google doesn't work, but just things that always work, like cell phone reception doesn't work, So prepare your hearts. Ask God to give you the ability to walk in the power of the Spirit in the middle of that. And remember that what you say about Google is what your friends, your coworkers will feel and think about it. And so even if it's just a momentary frustration for you that you move past, that's what they're going to remember for the next weeks as they're preparing to go on. And so just, be aware of that. Okay, now you can finally move on. Okay, so there's the meeting today for you guys to attend. There'll be a few other, like, hey, jump on the web. We want to orient you to anything that you need to do before your different go live. If you're here at Lake Hart, or if you'll be doing it at a regional office or a national ministry office, or if you'll be out on the field being a Google guide. So wherever you're at, there'll kind of be some different meetings that you might need to attend, and we will give you plenty of notice for those. And then you need to be prepared to be boots on the ground on the days that your people that you're helping are being trained, and also the days that their accounts go live. And so if you're here at Lake Hart, there's 3 days of training, and you'll need to be able to go to some of those training sessions and walk around and help people as the trainers are actually training them. So you won't be the ones doing the training. We have trainers who will be up front leading it, but you'll be walking around the room kind of being assistants and helping people along the way. And then on the day of go live, so on March 4th for Lake Hart, you'll have your Google swag. So some of you have posters. You'll put these posters up by your desks. If you are at a regional or national office, we will be mailing these to you so people know to find you. You'll have a t-shirt that you'll wear, and we'll be getting those to you, and it says, I can guide you there. Some of the other Google swag is actually going to be for Facebook. There are many, though we have over 400 and I think 430, 480, something along those lines, Google Guides. But there's still a lot of teams out on the field that, or in different parts of the world that don't have a Google Guide available. And so what we want you to do is on the days of training and the days of go live to change your Facebook profile picture, which we'll provide for you, to an I will guide you there, and your cover photo to Crew is Going Google. And so then people can get on Facebook, they're like, I'm having trouble, they can find you. Oh, my friend, she's a Google Guide, I know her, I can ask her my question, and you can help them that way. So you'll have some different Google swag to identify you as a Google Guide, to be available to help during those go lives. And so for you out on the field, I don't know if we actually welcomed you. There's about 100 people in this room, but there's over 300 people tuning in live all across the world. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being here. Some people are waving at you, which you probably can't see, but we're grateful that some of you are up really early in the morning and you're here, and so thank you. But during your go live, depending, if you have people physically around you, then you'll be available to those people in person. If you don't, then again, be available online through social media. And I think, is that it? Is that, so I think we've covered all of this, mostly, but talking to your peers about why Crew is Going Google, those are on the FAQs. During this training and afterwards, use the Twitter hashtag Crew is Going Google. Insights that you get today, fun things that you learn, make sure and tweet them out with that hashtag. You'll also be a kind of a front lines on the ground person, and so gathering feedback, that doesn't mean you have to go out and solicit it, but people are going to be talking to you, and so we want to hear from you too. We will have some formal ways to do that, where we will send you surveys about how things are going and what you're hearing, but then if you don't find avenues to do that, you can also email us at Go Google. Yeah, so if you have questions today and you are watching online, and in here, if you have questions, email them. Go ahead and go to the next slide. You can email them, you can tweet them with a hashtag, or you can chat on the live stream, and we will be moderating all three. Can't guarantee that your question will be answered today, but if we get enough of the same type of question, then at some point in time when Felicia asks for questions, I'll bring them up to her.
I just want to reiterate the wireless password for those of you who didn't catch it before. It's win-build-send, and each word is capitalized, so capital W win dash capital the B build dash capital S send. And the hashtag. You said it.
Oh, sorry. The hashtag. Go back one. No, go forward one. Crew Google Guide. Sorry, I said that wrong. That's the right hashtag. Don't listen to me. The last thing really quick, and then we will get started, is that this change is not taken lightly. It is a large change. You are helping lead a very large change. And so this change is sponsored by the highest levels of our organization. Steve Sellers was part of signing the contract. Our legal general counsel, Dennis Casper, is excited for us to move here. This is not just something we're doing on the whim. This is something that we strongly believe will both help and protect our ministry in significant ways. So we just want you to know that is the case. So, all that being said, I want to introduce Philistia Pittman to you. And Philistia and I have become good friends over the past month. She is a incredible trainer and a very sweet spirit. So we've been learning from her the past 2 days. I'm excited for you to learn from her today. Philistia is part of Cloud Sherpas. They are Sherpas who know how to take us into the cloud. And so that's where she's going to be leading us, and she will be doing the training from here on out. So
great.
Give it to you. Thanks, Philistia.
Thank you, Stacy. All right, well, good morning, good afternoon, whatever it may be, wherever you are. Glad to be here to take you from your Outlook account to show you all the new and cool features that you have in Google Mail and Google Calendar. Before I get started, and of course I can only ask the people that are in the room. Well, I can ask everybody, but I can only see the hands of the people that are in the room. But how many of you already had personal Gmail accounts? Anybody had? Whoa, all right. Almost everybody in this room has a personal Gmail account. That's great. And I'm sure as many hands probably went up. And I couldn't see you. Great, excellent. Well, we're going to take pretty much a deep dive into both Google Mail and Calendar. What I traditionally like to do when I'm doing the training is to stop and ask questions and ask if there are any questions at the end of each section. But this audience is so big and we have so much to cover. Like Stacy said, I'm going to take questions at the very end of the training. What I try to do in my training, I've actually been taking end users from Outlook to Google Mail now for over 3 years. So I try to do the training in such a way where I answer a lot of the questions before they're even answered. Wait a minute. I like to answer the questions before they are asked. That's what I'm trying to say. All right. So let's go ahead and jump right into our training overview. So we're going to start off today by talking about things that are new and different in your mail account. Things like conversation threads and how in Gmail you don't do any sorting. Everything we do in Gmail is via search. We're going to look at a lot of cool features. We're also going to start with your inbox. So we're going to look at things like snippets and message sneak peek and conversation threads. Then, even though you cannot sort, I'm going to show you lots of ways to find anything you're looking for because there are lots of different ways to search. Then we're going to look at filters. So how many of you in here, when you have your Outlook account, you created rules? Did anyone create rules? Okay, okay, almost half. All right, so in Outlook you created rules. In Gmail you create filters. So I'm going to show you lots of ways to create filters. Composing mail. If you've composed an email in any email system, you'll be able to do it right here in Gmail. Nothing new or grand about that. Then we'll move to contacts, tasks, chat, recommended labs, and at the very end of the training, we'll look at how you customize your signature, out of office, mail delegation. Now, at the end of the training, you'll know how to manage and organize your inbox. I'll also show you lots of different ways to handle and work with your conversation threads. And of course, I will share with you everything I know. That would be shortcuts, tips, and best practices. Recommended labs. So many of you have Google accounts, so you probably know about labs. Now, just like on your phone, you have apps that you can add to your phone. Well, in your Google Mail account, you have labs that you can add to your Google account. So that's pretty neat. Then we're going to jump into Calendar. Lots of cool features in Calendar. We're going to look at your calendar views. I'll show you at least 3 ways to create calendar events. We'll look at best practices for managing your calendar, tasks, recommended labs, and again, at the very end, we'll look at all of your settings, how you customize your calendar features. At the end of the training, you'll know how to manage and organize your calendar, how to create any kind of calendar you desire. Project calendar, team calendar, personal calendar, you think of it, you'll be able to create it. Plus, of course, shortcuts, tips, and best practices will be shared throughout the training. And we'll also look at some recommended calendar labs. And it is okay if you don't remember everything because there are tons of resources. Just like Stacy mentioned, you have resources, your Go Google resources. I'm also going to point you to some resources from your Google Help. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump right into the training. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is to start with an overview of just how to access your Google Mail account. Many of you already have your personal Gmail accounts. Lots of ways for you to access your Google Mail account. You may have an icon on your desktop from Crew, or if you're sitting at someone else's desktop anywhere around the world, everybody knows how to get to Google. If you can get to Google, no matter where you are, you'll be able to access your mail and your calendar. You'll go to Google, you'll click on Gmail, put in your username, your password, and simply sign in. So you're raising hands, and go ahead.
Remember, you have to not put in a password to sign in, do a relay. It's quicker to go to mail.crew.org.
That's right. Quicker for you to go to mail.crew.org. All right? So lots of different ways. Quick way, mail.crew.org, and then sign in. Now, when we click on sign in, it's going to put us into our inbox. Now, you have your laptops, and traditionally, in a hands-on training, we would spend about 2.5 hours just in mail if it's hands-on, right? We're not going to spend 2.5 hours just on mail. And you're probably saying, good, I don't have 2.5 hours to spend just on mail. So what we're going to do, even though you have your laptops, is not going to be your traditional hands-on class. I'm going to ask you to follow along, but if you do get behind, you'll have an opportunity to catch up. But it's not going to be a traditional hands-on class where I will perform a task and then have you to perform the task. Does that make sense? Okay, excellent. I do look for noddings of heads. Even though we're going to be moving, I'm going to look for nodding of heads to make sure we're all on the same page. Come on up.
I noticed some heads that weren't nodding.
Okay.
Because, as I mentioned before, their accounts aren't turned on, and so you could mention the test accounts, or you mentioned the personal Gmail. But
right.
If they went to mail.crew, they're not going to be able to log in yet.
Okay.
Their accounts aren't logged.
Okay. So if you went to mail.crew, you're not going to be able to log on because your accounts aren't live yet. But you can use your personal account to follow along. And that's what we were hoping with everybody who raised their hand, which was almost everyone in here. If you have a personal Gmail account, go ahead and log into your personal Gmail account. If you don't have a personal Gmail account, we have the test account. So I'm going to just click here, and I'm going to click here. So if you can still get into Google, and you would go into your Google test account. And where you saw I had my username, your username would be test.guide, and instead of the X, it will be the numbers 1 through 50. So someone may be 1, someone will be 2, someone will be 3. Well, how will you know which number you are? Good question. You will not know which number you are, so pick a number, any number. And if you find out that's been taken, then you'll have to try another number. And they all have the same password, which is going to Google. All right? But this is only for those of you that do not have a personal Gmail account, which would be maybe about 20 people in this room, because just about everybody raised their hand to say that they have a personal Gmail account. All right? Excellent. You have options to follow along, which I would recommend because it makes for a better user experience. All right? So is there anyone, I want to make sure that everybody is in. So is there anyone who's not inside of their Google account that would desire to be? We're good? All right. Excellent. So I'd like for you to at least go under settings with me. So I'm going to have you to click on settings. And then I want you to click right here on settings. And once you get into settings, I'd like for you to select labs. All right. Now, there are lots of labs. For the intro, the first part of the training, I only want you to enable 3 labs. Those labs are canned responses, and all the labs are in alphabetical order, so canned responses, and you can just scroll down and you'll see canned responses, and just select enable. All right? After you enable canned responses, scroll down, and the next lab that I'd like for you to enable is called Message Sneak Peek. You see that? And just click on enable. Remember, they're all in alphabetical order, so as you scroll, you're going to get to canned responses, then Message Sneak Peek. The next one I'd like for you to enable is Preview Pane. So when you scroll to Preview Pane, select enable. And then the very last lab I'd like for you to enable is Undo Send. Now again, there are lots of labs here. We're going to come back to labs later. But for those of you that are going to be following along with me, I'd like for you to go ahead and enable those 4 labs. So again, those 4 labs were canned responses, Message Sneak Peek, Preview Pane, and Undo Send. Now, after you enable those 4 labs, go ahead and click on Save Changes. And after you click on Save Changes, it takes you back to the inbox. Now, this is what I'd like for you to do. There's one more feature I want you to do with me. Go back to settings. You see right here? Click on settings and go back to settings again. This time, you can stay where you are. We're staying on the general tab. I'd like for you to scroll down, and I want you to scroll until you see stars. When you see stars, I'd like for you to click on 4 stars. We're going to come back. I'm going to explain everything. But for right now, all I want you to do is just select 4 stars. After you've selected 4 stars, scroll to the very bottom and just select Save Changes. We will come back and we're going to look at everything else on the general tab. But for right now, that's all I need you to do. Thank you. And then that should take you right back to the inbox. Excellent. So again, I'm going to click on several features, like for you to follow along, but we don't have the time again for it to be a true hands-on class. All right, so when you're looking at your Google Mail account, let me show you this. I want to show you 3 ways in which you can quickly access your mail without even opening it up. So what are those 3 ways? The first way for you to look at your mail and know exactly what's going on is with snippets. What are snippets? Snippets are just a line of text next to each message, giving you a snippet about that message, kind of grayed out. That's what you're looking at here. These are snippets. Now, the second way for you to quickly look at your mail is with a message sneak peek. Now, those of you that have test account, you may not even have any conversation. You may not have any conversations, any email in your account. So some of these actions I'm going to be doing, you may not be able to follow along with. But those of you that have a personal Gmail account, you should be able to follow along. So the second way is with a message sneak peek. Watch this. I'm going to right-click on a message, and you can do the same. Just right-click on a message, and you see you get a sneak peek of that message. And you can just click and scroll through, and you're getting a sneak peek of all the messages in the thread. That's pretty cool. And then the third way for you to quickly look at your mail is with a preview pane. So follow along with me again. You see right here next to settings, there's a drop down. Click on the drop down, and you see you have a vertical split. So you can click on the vertical split, and you have a vertical split in which you can view your mail. And then you also have a horizontal split. So when you're looking at your mail in your new Google account, you see you have three ways to quickly look at your mail. You have your snippets, you have your message sneak peek, and you have your preview pane. So go ahead and click on No Split. Excellent. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about are conversation threads. Now, for those of you that have Google accounts, you're familiar with seeing these numbers. Those of you that are not, are not. So what are conversation threads, and what are all of these numbers? Well, this is pretty cool. Gmail, your Google account, groups all of the replies with the original message. And the total number of messages is in parentheses, is what we call conversation threads. So when we're looking at this message right here, Spring Break 2013, we see the number 10. That means there have been 10 replies regarding Spring Break 2013. What's neat is, instead of having 10 separate email messages scattered throughout my inbox, all of the 10 messages regarding spring break in one place. So Deborah is the originator of this message. Deborah sent this message to a number of people, including Cain and Lynn. And there have been a total, Deborah's message and then 9 replies make 10. So there are 10 messages in one place. So it's really nice. Again, instead of having 10 messages scattered throughout my inbox, all of the messages are threaded together. Now, something else you've probably noticed is that all of the messages here are kind of grayed out, but the messages here are bold. What's the difference? Well, read and unread messages. Like this very first message, the subject is bold. That's because it's unread. When I look at island destinations, this message has a mixture of read and unread messages. Now, Shell is the originator of this message. And Shell sent this message to a number of people, including Fiona and Lynn. Now, there have been 8 conversations regarding island destinations. Now, I've read Shell's message, but as you see, I haven't read the messages between Shell and Fiona, nor have I read Fiona's message, nor have I read Lynn's message. So what we're going to do, we're going to open up this conversation thread entitled Island Destinations. Now, when I open up this message, the subject is right here at the top, Island Destinations. We see that Shell is the originator of this message, and we see when he sent this message, and I'm hovering over, you see he sent it on Wednesday the 30th, and you see what time. You see right here it says 4 older messages. These are all the messages that have already been read. So when you're looking at conversation threads, the read messages, the messages that you've read, are automatically collapsed, and the unread messages are expanded. So where you see 4 older messages, these are the messages that we've already read. Now, the messages that are expanded includes Fiona's message, Lynn's message, because these are the 2 messages that have not been read. Now, another thing you notice is that all the messages are in chronological order, beginning with Shell's message, which was the first message, all the way to Lynn's message, which came in 46 minutes ago. So when you're looking at conversation threads, conversation threads are read from top down, the same way you would read a letter, beginning with the beginning all the way to the end. So I'm going to click right here on the 4 older messages, and we'll get a quick snapshot of all the messages. Pretty cool. The other thing that's really neat is that even though these messages are threaded together, every message has its own reply menu. Watch this. If I only want to reply to Fiona, I click right here and just reply to Fiona. If I only wanted to reply to Lynn, I click here and reply to Lynn. The same is true if I wanted to reply to Nicholas, I go inside of Nicholas' message and reply to Nicholas. So again, even though these conversations are threaded together, they are still very much their own separate messages. So let's go ahead and reply to Nicholas. So I'm going to click right here on reply. Now when I click on reply, I'm going to click right here. You see where I'm pointing? Type of response. I can just reply to Nicholas, or I can do a reply to all, which means I'm replying to everyone that Nicholas replied to. You see that? Just like in Outlook. Reply to all means I'm replying to all the people that the other person replied to. So I'm going to click right here and do reply to all. Now, if I wanted to add someone, all I have to do, you see where the cursor is blinking? I could click right here and I could add Alex. Well, Alex is there. I could add Asher. So it's easy to add people, and it's also easy to remove people. If I said I didn't want to include Alex on this, here's an X. I could click right here, remove Alex. Easy to add, easy to remove. Now, let me type my message. So my message is going to be, this is a great idea. Now, watch what happens when I click on send. When I click on send, my message, great idea, you see that? It came to the bottom of the thread. So my message is now part of this conversation thread. And when we go back to the inbox, we'll see that the number has changed to 9. The number was originally 8, now the number is 9. And look, it shows me as the last person to respond. And here's my snippet, great idea. Does that make sense? Good, let's go ahead and open it up again. Now this time when I open the message, you see it says 6 older messages. All the messages have been collapsed because all the messages have been read. That's how conversation threads work. So I'm going to go ahead and click on 6 older messages and get a snapshot of all the messages once again. Now, the other thing I want to do, I'm going to go ahead and click inside of Fiona's message. One of the things that's so neat about conversation threads is this. Let's say you go on vacation. You come back. And instead of having 200 email messages in your inbox, you may only have 20 because they've been threaded together based on the subject. So you come back from vacation, you're trying to catch up on your email messages, and the last message you read was Fiona. Before you could get to Lynn's message, you were interrupted. Let me show you how you can bookmark a message. So I'm inside of Lynn's message, and remember, you can follow along if you like. I'm inside of Lynn's message. I'm going to click inside of her menu option, and I'm going to select Mark Unread from here. Watch what happens. When I click on Mark Unread from here, it's going to mark the message unread from where? From Lynn. So that is how you can bookmark a message. So I'm going to open this back up, and it opens right up to Lynn. So whether you go on vacation or whether you have to go to a meeting, you can always bookmark a message, pick it up right where you left off. Pretty neat. All right. The next thing I want to do, since I'm inside of Nicholas' message, is this. I'm going to click on the drop down. Every message has its own menu option. So if I only wanted to forward Nicholas' message, I click right here, and only Nicholas' message would forward. If I only wanted to print Nicholas' message, I'd click here, and only Nicholas' message would print. And if I only wanted to delete Nicholas' message, I'd click here, and only Nicholas' message would be deleted. But If I wanted to print all of the messages, you see where I'm pointing? I click right here to print all. If I wanted to forward all the messages, you see where I am? I click right here to forward all. And if I wanted to delete all, I click right here to delete all. So here's the point that I'm making. The menu options on the outside, they pertain to all of the messages. Expand all, print all, forward all. But the menu option inside the message is just for that message. Does that make sense? Good. I like nodding of heads. All right. Excellent. So, oftentimes we are asked, how can I reply to everybody that's been a part of this conversation? Well, if you want to reply to everybody that's been a part of this conversation, you would not do this. Let me scroll down and show you what you would not do before I show you what you will do. So a lot of times people think that if they click right here on reply to all, that they're going to be replying to all of the conversations and replying to everybody. That's not true. So watch this. I'm at the very last conversation. If I click on reply to all, I'm replying to only the people that were replied to in this conversation right here. You get that? You see what I did? I'm going to go ahead and click on discard. If I wanted to reply to everybody that was a part of this conversation, this is what I would do. You see right here, this is a people widget. So a people widget is a collection of all the people that were part of that conversation thread. So you see that there are 4 more people. So I could click right here, and now I see all the people that are part of this conversation. So if I wanted to do a group chat and chat with everybody that's a part of this conversation, I could do so. If I wanted to email everybody that's a part of this conversation, I could do so. And if I wanted to schedule a meeting with everybody that's a part of this conversation, I could do so with People widget. So again, if you wanted to send a communication to everybody, you could do so by using the People widget. And the reason we would do that is because Shell and Nicholas and Fiona, they may not have always copied the same people. You understand what I'm saying? Just like I had an option to remove some people, just because they shared it with me doesn't necessarily mean they've shared it with everybody, but I have everybody right here, all right? Options, just giving you options and showing you all the different ways in which you can work with your conversation threads, all right? Excellent. Now, if you have questions about conversation threads, jot them down, write them down, and at the end of this mail session, we'll answer them, all right? So now we're going to move on, and we're going to talk about organizing your mail. So there are 3 ways for you to organize your mail. What are those 3 ways? Well, the first way is with stars. So you remember I had you to click on and select those stars. So you see these grayed out stars? Go ahead and click on one. When you click on a star, you probably automatically get a gold star, right? Then take the second message and do a left click. Now watch this. You click and you just continue to click. You see what I'm doing? And you just toggle through until you get the one that you want. Did that work for everyone? It should. All right. Yeah, because I had you in the beginning to enable the stars under settings. So if you enable the stars under setting, you do a left click. You have to be fast. You just have to click through. Anyway, this is one of the ways for you to organize your mail. Let me share with you how I use these. So I'll put an I next to anything that's important. I use the red exclamation for priority items. I put a check mark next to anything that has to be done today, And I put a question mark next to email messages that I'm waiting for answers to or have questions about before I can move on. Now, you can ascribe whatever meaning you want to these stars. I'm just throwing out some ideas. Anything you star will be right here in the star system label. So again, stars are just a way for you to organize your mail. Now, another question I often get is, can I send someone an email message with a star? That would be nice, but you cannot. Stars are just for you. All right? They're just to help you organize your mail. Now, the second way for you to organize your mail is with important markers. No doubt some of you who already have mail accounts have seen important markers next to some of your messages. To find out why a message has been marked important, you can simply hover over and see why. Now, if a message has been marked important and is really not important to you, you can always select and deselect. This is your mail account, and you can select what is important and what is not important. All right, so if something has been marked important and it's not, all you have to do is deselect, just like that. All right, so those are two ways for you to manage your mail. Now, the third way for you to manage your mail is with labels. So in Outlook, you have folders. In Gmail, we have labels. So let's talk about differences and similarities. So in the world of Outlook, we have this message right here from Sneakaway about a trip to Sausalito, all right? It's talking, oh yes, that's nice. Talking about a hotel and spa, right? So in the world of Outlook, we could click and drag this message. Now, speaking of clicking and dragging, if you're going to click and drag a message in your Google Mail account, easy to do, but you have to have the open hand. You see how the hand is open? If you try to click and drag and you have the point or the arrow, you're not going to be able to click and drag. The hand, you see these little dots? The hand has to be open like this for you to click and drag. All right, so once you have the open hand, you can click and drag. You see it says move one conversation. So in the world of Outlook, I could move this email message from Sneakaway to luxury spa and resort. But it may also make sense for this to be under deals. In Outlook, too bad, because it could only go in one place. Not so in your Google account. Watch this. With your new mail account, I've selected this message. I'm going to click on a label. And how about this? I can apply as many labels as it makes sense for this particular message to have. Oh, I know what. Hold on 1 second. The reason you don't see them is because I said hide. And I don't want to hide anymore. I want to show. There we go. Ta-da, there they are. So, in your Google Mail account, you can have as many labels as you desire associated with a message. Now, has this message been duplicated? Absolutely not. It's one message that I can view from any of these three labels. So I can view this message in cruise, I can view this message in deals, and I can also view this message in luxury spa resort. Plus, you notice this? The inbox is also a label. The inbox is a system label. So I have one message and actually 4 labels because it also includes the inbox. Now, the next thing we're going to do is to show you how easy it is to create a brand new label. So I'm going to take this message right here, Island Destinations, the one we were working with, and I'm going to select Create New. And we're going to create a brand new label. We're going to call this label Crew. And then I'm going to click on Create. So there I have it. So now you see I have my brand new label called Crew. That was easy. Now watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to click on the drop down next to my Crew label, you see? And these are all the things I can do with this label. I can give this label a color. I can also give this label a custom color, which allows me to select both a background color and a text color. Now, other things we can do with this label. I can decide to show or hide the label in the label list, and here's the label list right here. Or I can show or hide the label from the message list. And you saw how I hid some labels from the message list. Now, lots of people have created lots of folders. How many of you, and there's no right or wrong, and if you have created more, if you have more than 100 folders, that is not a problem. But is there anyone in here who has more than 100 folders? Okay, so there are several people that have more than 100 folders. The most I've run into is a client has had 400 folders. Yeah, very organized. Well, you probably don't want to see 400 labels right here in your label list, right? That's a lot of, yes, someone says, no, I do not. That's a lot of labels. So Google gives you an opportunity to hide. So watch this. I'm simply going to click on hide, and it's just going to hide crew from my view. Now, I'm going to scroll down. You see where it says more? When I click on more, now I get to see all the labels that are hidden from my view. So hiding and showing labels is all about preferences, and you can hide and show as many labels as you desire. So I'm going to go back to crew, and I'm going to select show. So I'm going to show crew in my label list, and now it's shown again. The other thing that we can do with our labels, and we know people that are big label users are also big sub-label users. So watch this. I'm going to click on crew, and I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to select add sub-label. So I'm going to add a sub-label, and I'm going to call it client A. Let's see, I'm on cap locks. And then I'm going to click on create. So now under crew, I have a new label called client A. That was easy. How about this? Let's add a sub-label to our sub-label. So we're going to have a sub-label, and we're going to call this client AA. So as you see, it's easy to create a label, a sub-label, a sub-sub-label, and you can go as deep as you desire to go, all right? All right. Now, the next thing I want to do, and this is really important, and I would like for you to follow along with me on this if you would. You see right here at the very bottom, it says more. Go ahead and click on more. When you click on more, scroll down, and what I want you to click on now is manage labels. So if you would go ahead and click on manage labels. This is important. And when your end users go live on day one, this is one of the things you want to make sure they do. You want them to go to manage labels so that they can see their system labels. There are two sets of labels, system labels and custom labels. By default, Google has hidden 3 of your system labels. What are those labels? All mail, spam, and trash. So right now, I want you to click on show. And I want you to show all mail, spam, and trash. You can always come back and hide it. That's fine, because you know how to do that. But for right now, I'd like for you to show those 3 labels. And for some of you, chats, you see right here where it says chats, is also hidden. I'd like for you to also show chats. So some labels are hidden by default by Google. And for purposes of this training and for go live, those labels, those 4 labels need to be shown. Now, the second set of labels that we have, these are custom labels. These are the labels that we create like we created crew. And so as you see, here's my crew label right here. Now, all the labels are in alphabetical order. You see that, right? Now, what if I wanted to have my last label, which is tourist, to be the very first label. So what I'm saying is, I want tourists to be ahead of crew. Let me show you how to do that. You notice as soon as you click inside of a label, you're placing that label in the edit mode. That's how easy it is to edit a label. You just click and you see that, and it's in the edit mode. So I'm going to scroll down, and I am going to put a character in front of tourist. Now, what character? You can put any character you desire, including a number. I'm going to put a period in front of tourist. Now, watch what happens. Now, tourist has moved to what? The head of the class. So now tourist is the first label in my list, not the last label. So if you have a lot of labels and you're showing some of your labels and you say, you know what, I'm going to be using tourist a lot and I don't want to have to scroll down to reach tourist, not a problem. You can put a 1 in front of it, you can put a period, a dash, or whatever you want. Now, if some clever people ask, well, it's a period higher than a question mark or a question mark higher than a dash, tell them it runs by ASCII. If they say, what is ASCII? You can say, Google it. All right? Great. All right, excellent. So I wanted to show you how to do that. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is to take a look at some other tips. So I still want you to be right here under labels. So you see right here where it says show and label list? When you're working with people, and maybe they have anywhere from 40 to 400 labels, well, you want to tell them this. They can click right here and hide all. In fact, that's how I work in my personal corporate account. I hide all of my labels. And then come back and click on show and just show the labels that you're actually using on a daily basis. Because you know you have some historical labels from 1999. You haven't touched it since 1999 and you dare not delete it, right? But you don't need to see it. So you can hide them all in one action. Then just come back and click on show and show the ones that you want. Does that make sense? Good. All right, excellent. Now, I do want to share this with you. If you would scroll all the way to the bottom, and you see right here it says note, removing a label will not remove the messages with that label. That's good to know, because I was working with some people yesterday and they want to clean up their labels, and they said, hey, can I remove some of these labels? Absolutely. You can remove and delete the same thing. You can remove and delete as many labels as you want, and those messages will not be harmed. They'll still be there. You can delete the labels. The messages will still be there. They'll be in a place called all mail, and we're going to talk about all mail in just a moment. So yes, you can remove your labels, all right? That's another question that comes up. All right, go back to your inbox. Now, the next little tip I want to show you is this. Now, you understand that we can take any message right here, click and drag, you know about the hand, click and drag, and move that message. So I can take this message, extraordinary places, click and drag, and move it to crew. That was easy, so now it's in crew. I can also do this. I can take crew, click and drag, and move it to a message. You see that? It works both ways. Oh yeah, we've got lots to show you. All right, so it works both ways, so that's really neat. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is archiving your mail. All right, now, archiving in Gmail is completely different from archiving in any other email system. Nothing goes on your hard drive. Everything's in the browser, all right? So I'm going to take two messages. I'm going to select this message from Sneakaway that came in at 11:58, and I'm going to take this message from Shell that came in at 11:24. Both messages are selected. If you have messages, go ahead and select them, follow along. And believe me, anything I get you in, I can get you out of, all right? So don't be afraid to follow along. All right, so I've selected two messages. Now, we're in the inbox. How do we know we're in the inbox? Because the inbox is the color red. So we're in the inbox. We know we're in the inbox. It's highlighted in red. So now I'm going to select all mail, and I'd like for you to do the same. Go ahead and select all mail. Those of you that say, I don't have all mail, that's because when we were under labels, you didn't show it, all right? So all mail, we have all mail. All mail is all of your mail. Now, the messages that we selected in our inbox are selected in all mail. You see that, right? All right. You also see when we're in all mail, we know we're in all mail because it's red, the inbox label. So the two messages that we selected have the inbox label. So if I go back to the inbox, the two messages are there. If I go to all mail, the two messages are here. When I click on archive, you see where I'm pointing? And you can do the same. When I click on archive, it simply is going to remove the inbox label. You follow? All right, watch. When I'm going to click on archive, and it removed the inbox label. So when I go back to the inbox, those two messages are no longer there. That's all archive does. Not a secret, not complicated. It removes the inbox label. So when I go back to all mail, those two messages are still there. If I want to move them back to the inbox, I can click right here on Move to Inbox. So simply, archive is a quick way for you to clean up your inbox. It just moves the inbox label. So when mail comes into your inbox, you no longer have to be trigger happy and quickly delete something because you're afraid of running out of space. In your new Google account, you have 25 gigabytes of space. Yes. All right. For those of you that didn't know, in Outlook, I don't believe you even had 1 gig. No, you didn't. So you've gone from not having 1 gig to having 25 gigabytes of space. Yay. Now, you don't have to be in a hurry to delete things. So in the world of Outlook, something came into your inbox. You either had to delete it, or you had to leave it in your inbox, or you had to create a folder for it because it had to go somewhere. With your new Google Mail account, you can just archive mail. So you're not forced to delete, you're not forced to create a label, and you can just get it out of your inbox. And as you see, I'm looking in my all mail, and most of my mail, no labels. I just archive lots and lots of mail. All right, now, all mail is all of your mail. All mail is everything except spam and trash. So if it's in your inbox, it's also where? In all, very good. And if it's starred, important chat, sent, drafts, it's in all mail. All mail is everything except spam and trash. So if I sent you an email message right now, that email would be in 2 places. What 2 places? Very good, you've got it. Class over. No, that's it. But excellent. That's great. That is great. We keep it simple, and you've got it. And that's how you'll help your end user. Just keep it simple. All right. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is deletion. I do encourage end users, when you first get started with your Google Mail account, you're trying to wrap your head around conversation threads and how all of this new stuff works, don't delete anything in the beginning. In the beginning, I mean, you can delete things like reminder notifications and things like that. But I usually say for the first 3 months, don't delete. Just archive, because you have 25 gigabytes of space, all right? Now, I want to show you what happens if you do delete. So here's the message right here. And this message has 3 labels. So I'm going to select this message. And then I'm going to select the trash icon, delete. It says, moving conversations from all mail to trash will remove them from all views. Got it? Great. Okay. So that message is no longer in my all mail. It's now in trash. But wait, when we get to our trash, the message has the labels. So some would think, not anybody in here, but some would think this message is still in these labels, but that's not true. Watch this. This message came in at 11:58 from Sneakaway. When I click on Cruise, Deals, and Luxury Spa Resort, you're going to see that this message is not in any of these labels. Watch. When I click on Cruise, the message is not there. When I click on Deals, the message is not there. And when I click on Spa Resort, the message is not there. So this message is in one place, and where is it? Trash, absolutely. So even though you go to your trash and you see a message has a label on there, you know that that message is not in that label. Messages in your Google account are not duplicated. There's only one copy of a message. So if you have 10 labels on that message and you delete that message, it's deleted from how many labels? 10, absolutely. It's deleted from all. And watch this. The reason Google leaves the labels is because a lot of us are trash pickers. Yes, guilty. We put something in the trash, then we come back to pick it out. So I'm going to select this message. It says messages that have been in trash more than 30 days will automatically be deleted. So I put this message in the trash. It was a bad idea. I really need it. Google leaves the labels because Google knows that if it doesn't, I won't remember to move to. Where do I want to move this to? That's the only reason the labels are left. So when you want to restore a label, you'll know, oh, that's right, it was in Cruise. But watch this. I am going to restore this label to Crew, or move it to Crew, because it was never associated with Crew. And I want you to see what's going to happen. So let me go back. I see some faces, so I just want to make sure. It was in Cruise, Deals, and Luxury Spa Resort. But I'm going to do a move to and move it to Crew. When I move it to Crew, it's now restored to Cruise, it's restored to Deals, and it's also in Luxury Spa Resort. So, one copy of a message. If you restore a message, it's restored to all of the labels. If you delete a message, it's deleted from all of the labels. Make sense? Good. All right. I am looking for nodding of heads, so thank you very much. All right. Let's go back. The next thing I want to talk about is finding things. All right. So I told you on the onset that in your Google Mail account, you can't sort, but you'll never miss it. Let me show you why. I'm going to show you lots of ways to find anything that you're looking for in your Google Mail account. 3 ways to do a fast search. The first way is a simple search. So in the search bar, and we do call this a simple search. In the search bar, I'm going to type the name David. Need to spell it right. And then click on the search bar. And Google found 100 email messages with the name David. Now, let me tell you something about this search. Google searched uppercase, lowercase, body, subject, and attachments. And if you look at the bottom of the screen with me, you see right here, it says, deleted messages match your search. So it also searched the trash. So if there was something in the trash, not a problem. I could just click on view and see what was in the trash as well. So that's a simple search. Now, the second way to do a search is to include an operator. You understand that because everybody's done searches before. So you could do from, to, subject, anything like that. So I'm going to add an operator and say, I'm looking for something from David Coleman. How about that? We went from 100 to 1. Another way to do a search is to search from a label. So we know a lot of you are big label users, right? So what if we said, you know what? I know that the message that I'm looking for is in my family label. So you would go ahead and select the family label. And the family label automatically appears in the search bar. Very convenient. So now, instead of searching through 47 email messages, I'm going to pare this down by typing the word pass, as in family pass, because that's what I know I'm looking for. So now, instead of looking at 47 messages, it pares it down to 3. Very nice. And a final way in which we can do a search is right here, search options. Look at this. You see that? I'm going to click right here on all mail. I can search in any of my labels, including mail, spam, and trash. So that means it will hit everything. Or I can say, show me everything that's read from David, or everything that's unread from David. Plus, I have all of my other labels that I've created. I can also do a search from, to, subject, has the words, doesn't have, has attachments, and look at this. I can even search within a time frame. So, if you see the fields here, you can do the search. Now, I want you to follow along with me again. I want you to click on Settings, and I want you to select Help. And then I want you to type Advanced Search. And then I want you to select, after you click on the search, Using Advanced Search. So, when they ask you, can I do a search this way and that way? You can say, yes, you can. Let me show you. Here are all of these search operators. Just scroll down and you'll see. You can search with an or, with an hyphen, file name, quotes, brackets. You can search with all of your stars. You can also search for something older than, newer than, after, before, by size, larger, smaller. So when people ask you, what are some of the other ways I can search? Yes, the search options are great, but what about this? You can say, yes, you can do that. So I just wanted you to see that. And you don't have to remember them all. All you need to know is Using Advanced Search. If you can get to search, you can show them all the different ways in which they can search. And then you can just close out of that. All right, excellent. Now, the next thing we're going to do the easiest thing, which is compose mail. Like I told you earlier, if you've composed a mail in any email system, you can do so right here in your Google Mail account. So let's click on Compose. When you're composing a mail, what's really nice is your type ahead feature. All of us like type ahead features. But Google also gives us this ad. Now, about 2 years ago, this was a lab that was called Don't Forget Bob. And this lab was to help you not forget someone. So what Google does, Google remembers the group of people that you send email messages to. Now, this does not take the place, this ad does not take the place of a distribution list or a group. It's just to help jog your memory so that you don't forget Brian and you don't forget Fiona. You also have your CC, your BC, your subject, everything that you're used to. Now, I know that in your Outlook account, when you clicked on send, it will ask, have you checked spelling? Well, you don't have that in your Google Mail account. You have a visual notification when you're typing if you misspell a word, just like you see here. So if I've misspelled a word, I can simply right-click on that word, and I can select the correct word. I can add it to the dictionary, or I can ask for suggestions, all right? And then I'll just select the correct word, and I'm good. Other features. Be curious. I always tell end users to be curious when you're looking at anything Google, because Google is very tidy. And so you're not going to see everything just sitting out there. But when you hover over, like go ahead and hover over that A, because click on Compose, hover over that A, and then what you see is that you have formatting options. When you click here, all of your formatting options are there. Also, when you hover over the paperclip, you see you can attach files. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to attach files. And when I attach a file, I'll attach 2 files. you have your status bar. You see that? So you're attaching files, you'll have the status bar. And if the file that you attached is incorrect, all you have to do is just click on the X and the file is no longer there. All right, and then you also have the ability to insert using your Google Drive, photos, a link, emoticons. You can insert an invitation. You have the ability to discard. And get this, when you are working in your Google apps, whether you're composing a mail or working in Google Drive, Google automatically saves all of your work. So if the electricity goes, not a problem. You will not lose anything because Google automatically saves. So that's good to know. Now, if you would click right here, you see where I'm pointing on more options. Click right there. And you see you have additional options. You have a cool feature called canned responses, and I'm going to demonstrate that. You also have labels. So while you're creating an email message, you can create a label as well, read receipt, plain text mode, print, and another way to check spelling. So go ahead and click on that. And when you click on check spelling, you'll see this time everything that's misspelled is highlighted in yellow. So I can click right here. You see where I'm pointing on this drop down arrow. And look, I can check spelling in lots of languages. I'm just going to click on the X. So this is how you compose a message. Now, some of you may be saying, you know what? My compose doesn't look like this. This is the new compose. So if you went into your compose mail and somewhere in the middle, you'll see it says, do you want to use the new compose? You should click on yes, that you want to use the new compose, all right? All right, now I'm going to go back to compose, and this time I'm going to show you canned responses. It's such a cool feature. So how many of you use stationery in Outlook? Anybody use stationery? Okay, a number of you did. Well, in your Outlook account, it was stationery. In Gmail, it's canned responses. So let me show you how canned responses work. So I'm going to give you a full scenario. So let's say we are project managers. And the project that we're responsible for has a problem. And the problem impacts 500 people. So we are going to receive 500 email messages telling us about the problem. Well, instead of typing our answer 500 times, we're going to can it. So the first thing you want to do, and you can follow along, the first thing you want to do when you're creating a canned response is to delete everything that's on the page. You want to start with the blank canvas. And so now I'm going to create my canned response. And this is going to be what we're going to say. All right, so here's our canned response. We are aware of the problem and are working on it. Thank you for your patience. All right, so we want to can this because we don't want to type this 500 times. So we're going to go under our options and we're going to select canned responses and we're going to, come on, let's see. It's not showing me all of my, okay. It's not showing me all of my options here. So I'm going to have to switch back to the old just for a moment. I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to switch back to the old. Go back to compose so I can show you what I'm looking for. So I'm going to highlight this, delete, and canned response. So this is in the old version. So I'm going to click on the drop down, and this is what I was trying to get to, new canned response. You see that? So I'm going to create a new canned response. So I click here, and I'm going to give this new canned response a name. We're going to call this aware. Click on OK. So now, here's our canned response. I'm going to click on discard, and then go back to compose. And this is what happens. You go under canned response, and you simply insert the canned response called aware. You see that? And that's how you do it. So instead of having to type it 500 times, we simply clicked on insert. Now, let's kick this up a notch. Let's couple this canned response with a filter. What am I talking about? Instead of inserting this 500 times, we're going to couple it with the filter. So I'm going to go back to my search options, and I'm going to say this. Anytime I get an email message and it has the word problem, I'm going to, yeah, some of you are already figuring it out. I'm going to click right here on create a filter. And I'm going to say, anytime I get an email message and it has the word problem, I want it to skip the inbox. I could mark it as red. I could star it. I could apply a label. I'm going to have it to go to crew. I could forward it, delete it, never send it to spam, send a canned response. Let's do that. The canned response we created called aware. I can always mark it as important, never mark it as important. Those of you that created filters in Outlook, this should look familiar. This is how you manage your mail. You decide where you want your mail to go. So you can say anytime you get an email message and it has the word Google, you want it to go to a label called Google, and everything will automatically go there. Whether you're working on a project, whether it's working with a particular person, a student, a sponsor, it doesn't matter. You can manage your mail. So again, anytime I get an email, it has the word problem, it'll skip the inbox, go to the crew label, and send the recipient the canned response, letting them know we are aware. Now I'm going to go ahead and click on create. Now I'm going to, just going to discard that. I'm going to go to settings, and now I'm going to click on filters, and here's the filter we just created. Anytime we get an email and matches the word problem, it's going to skip the inbox, go to the crew label, and send the canned response entitled aware. Now, if you have messages skip the inbox and go directly to a label, how will you know you have new messages in that label? Absolutely. There will be a number in parentheses letting you know how many unread messages you have, plus that label will also be bold. So anytime you want messages to skip your inbox, nothing will go under the radar. You'll always know. All right, so I'm going to go back to the inbox. Now, the next thing I want to do is to go ahead and to take a look at some of the other labs. So the labs that we just worked with was canned response, and I had you to enable canned response, which was great. So you enable the canned response, you know how that works. Default text styling. So if you're working with someone else, a Google Guide, and someone says, hey, you know, I always want my font to be Times instead of Arial, or whatever they desire, you can have them enable default text styling. You probably notice that every time I type, my font is always in the color purple. That's because I enabled default text styling. Another lab that's really neat is the Google Calendar gadget. Watch this. I'm going to click right here and look. I have a snippet of my calendar right here in my inbox. Pretty neat. Other labs that we recommend include inserting images, the Mark is Red button. You've already done message sneak peek, preview pane, and undo send. So those are some of the labs that we recommend. As Google Guides, we do recommend that you become familiar with some of the labs because some of the other labs may help someone. But we do just recommend just a couple of labs. And when you are on site on day one, make sure no one enables all of the labs. All right? Yeah. That is no. That they don't want to do that. Okay. Well, some of the labs conflict and some things just wouldn't work because labs are some experimental features that the Google developers have come up with. You know, there are new cool features, and it says they may change, break, or disappear at any time. They're not going to harm your computer. I mean, they're not going to harm your computer, but they are experimental. And someone did, on day one, someone enabled all of the labs, go figure. And of course, they had to have a Google Guide come to the rescue. And the Google Guide just had to disable everything and just enable the ones that were actually, necessary. All right, now, the next thing I want you to do, if you've enabled any labs, go ahead and click on Save Changes and then come back to Settings. Because every time you click on Save Changes, it's going to take you back to the inbox. So click on the General tab. So this is where you customize all of your features. So you choose your language. You also can choose your default country for your call phone, and we'll get into that. You choose the number of pages you want to show. Default reply behavior. Some people are big reply to all. They never send an email without replying to all. So if that's your default behavior, you can click right here. Now, you're probably saying, as a Google guy, you're not going to show anybody this. You're like, I am not showing. If I see that they have it selected, I'm going to deselect it for them, right? That's what you're thinking. I know that. Default text style. So if you always want your font to be a particular color or style, you set it up right here. Conversation view can be turned on and off. And here's another one of my favorites, send and archive. So if you send me an email message and I reply to it, I am going to click Send and Archive, which means it will send you my answer and take it out of my inbox all in one action. All right, Send and Archive. Undo Send. Now, I do want you to follow along with this. You see right here where it says Undo Send? Click on the drop down. Undo Send. So in your Outlook account, you have message recall. There's no message recall in your Google Mail account. We have Undo Send. Undo Send will give you up to 30 seconds to stop a message from being sent once you click on Send. Now, it defaults to 10 seconds, not nearly long enough. So you want to click on 30, and it gives you 30 seconds. And you might think 30 seconds is not long, but 30 seconds is pretty long. When you send something and you go, oh, you know what, I should have did this and that. And don't be concerned about attachments. About 4 years ago, there was a lab that was called Forgotten Attachment Detector. Well, that lab got promoted. So now if you send an email message in your Google Mail account and you say, please see attached, any form of attached, and you don't have an attachment, it will pop up and say, hey, did you mean to send an attachment? So that's really nice. Oh, yeah, that's a big one. Yay, yeah, we get hand claps for that. All right, now your preview pane. You decide when you want to mark messages red when you have in your preview pane. And the stars. So in the beginning, I had you to select 4 stars. Leave all stars to the baseball teams, all right? You don't want to select all stars. Otherwise, you will have to click 12 times before you get your stars. Now, let me show you how the stars work. Even though I told you to click on 4 stars, you may say, I will only use 2. You could click and drag. You see what I'm doing? You can do this. You say, you know what? I'm going to use that question mark, and I'm going to use the exclamation point, and I'm not going to use anything else. You see that? You click and drag. So your first click will be the question mark. The second click will be the exclamation point. Make sense? That's why you don't want 12, right? All right. Now, desktop notifications should be turned on. And I was told yesterday that a lot of you don't like little pop-ups. So if you don't want pop-ups when you get new mail, you can keep that turned off. But you have your desktop notifications to turn on chat and to turn on new mail. And you also have the people widget. And I showed you how cool that is. So you want to make sure you keep that on. And when you're creating your contacts, and we're going to get to contacts and things like that in just a moment, but one of the neat features about Google Contacts is this. If I send you an email, you will automatically be populated in my, so let's say you send me an email and I reply to you, then you will automatically be populated in my contacts. So my contacts will start to populate without me having to do anything. I like that. If you run into somebody and they say, you know, how do I stop this? You can click right here where it says, I'll add contacts myself. But by default, when I send a message to a new person, it's automatically added to my contacts. I like that. And then you have your signature. And I know that they're going to push out a corporate signature, but just kind of FYI, here's your signature. Snippets and vacation responder. I've only had one end user to be very literal with me about vacation responder. I had finished the training and they sent a question and they were like, what about out of office? And I was like, okay, vacation responder is out of office. So even if you're not going to be on vacation, you can still use it. Oh, yes, they were that literal, all right? So vacation responder, out of office, it's all the same in the world of Google, all right? Now, when you finish making all of your changes, you come back and click on Save Changes. Now, the next thing I'd like for you to click on is the inbox. Google has given us 5 different types of inboxes. You see this? Now, the inbox that most of the people like is priority inbox. I want to show you how that works, so I'm going to quickly go to Sydney's account and show you priority inbox. This is really cool. Priority inbox. This is great for people who have lots and lots of mail in their inbox. I keep my inbox clean. I use my inbox like a to-do box, so I don't need priority inbox. But a lot of people like priority inbox. You can organize your mail. So everything that's important and unread comes in this first section. Everything that's important but has been read is in the second section. Everything that's unread is in the third, and then in the very last section is everything else. So priority inbox gives you an opportunity to prioritize your mail. Google just does this for you. How? Let me show you. So I'm going to go behind the scenes. I'm going to click on settings again, click on inbox. And then when we select priority inbox, here are your 4 sections. You see that? And so you just click on options and you decide what you want for every section. You want section 1 to be important and unread? Absolutely. You section this off according to your own preferences. Now, it uses the important markers. So if someone says, I don't like those important markers, but I want to use priority inbox, you can't have it both ways. All right, so if you want to use priority inbox, you have to use the important markers because that's how Google knows what you decide is important and what's not important, all right? Excellent. So let's go back to the inbox. And then the next way that you can manage your mail, or the second type of inbox, is multiple inboxes. People always moan and groan when they see this, you know? Unless, well, usually when I'm working with admins, if they have a lot of people to support, they are so excited when they see this. So what this does, it's called multiple inboxes. The name is kind of deceiving because it's really just one inbox, but they are filters. So again, I'm in Sydney's account. And so everything that's from Felicia comes in this first pane. Everything from Brian is in the second pane. Everything on her to-do list is in the third pane. Everything from David and Jeff is here. And everything that comes into Sydney's label called news is right here. So multiple inboxes, this is another favorite for a lot of people. So if you are working on a project, or if you always have mail coming from Brian, you get lots of mail from Brian, and you want his mail to just be in its own section, you can do so. Multiple inboxes is a labs. So all you need to do is enable multiple inboxes. As Google guides, if you find out you're looking at someone's mailbox and you say, you know what, multiple inboxes may be an answer for you. All you have to do is have them to enable it. And then after they enable the lab, multiple inboxes, you'll see right here under settings, multiple inboxes. And look, it's just a query from Felicia, from Brian, has green check. So that's all it is, and it just drops right here. And you can use as many panes or as few panes as you desire to use. All right? Excellent. Now, the next thing we're going to do is take a look at accounts. Now, a lot of you have your own personal Gmail accounts. That's great. You'll also have an opportunity to allow someone to have access to your account. So if someone else needs to get access to your mail account, you can give them access without giving them your password. So maybe someone needs access for 10 minutes or 10 years. It doesn't matter. They can have access to your mail account. So I'm going to click right here on Add Another Account. So I'm going to give Brian access to my mail account. Now, Brian will be able to read, delete, and send mail on my behalf. It's all or nothing. I can't say, Brian, you can read but not send, and you can send but not delete. Once you give someone access, they can do all three. So I'm going to click on Next Step, and Next Step is going to send Brian an email, and Brian will be able to say yes or no. So I'm sending Brian an email granting him access to my account. Now, it will say pending until Brian accepts. And I can always come back and delete. That's why I say you can give someone access for as long or as short a time as you desire. Now, if someone has given you access to their account, this is what you would do. You see where I'm pointing? You would simply click right here, and you see I'm a delegate for Steve, and I'm a delegate for Asher. So I can go into Steve's account and send mail on his behalf. And that's what it will say, sent on Steve's behalf. So everybody will know that I sent it on Steve's behalf that is not directly coming from Steve. Does that make sense? Okay, great. And if you need to send email as that person, so if I needed to send that email as Steve, and I'm not sure how often someone would need to send email as another person, but then you would say, you would do this, add another email address you own, and you would actually send it as that person. If this is something that's really important, I'll be happy to come back and talk about it during the questions session. All right? We looked at filters. Chat is instant messaging. Chat is really a cool feature. You have your chat system label, and if you say, I don't see that chat system label, that's because when we were under labels, you didn't click on show. But all of your chat history is saved, which is really nice. So if I'm chatting back and forth with friends, our chat history is saved. And sometimes you may be chatting email, you may be chatting phone numbers or links, so that will always be saved, which is pretty nice. So when you want to start chatting with someone, you see right here at the very bottom, you just click on the chat icon, and you can start chatting with anyone you desire. So I can click right here, and I can start a chat with Nicholas. I can do a text chat. I can also do a Google Hangout. I can call Nicholas on the phone so we can talk via the computer. I can also do a group chat so more than one person can join our chat. And under more, I can go off the record. A lot of people like that, going off the record. That means your chat history is not going to be saved. Now, if I went off the record with Nicholas, Nicholas would know. It wouldn't be unknown to him. It would say, this chat is off the record. And then if Nicholas wanted to bring it on the record, he would just click, put the message, chat back on, and then I'd see it was on. All right. I can also block. Another thing that people ask about blocking, they want to block people, but they don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, right? So they ask, if I block someone, will they know? Well, yes, they'll know. There will be a big sign. No, I'm just kidding. They will not know. It will simply, you will be invisible to them, and they will not be able to access you. So they won't know that you've blocked them. So, invisible. You see right here where it says options, I'm going to click on the drop down. Available, busy, invisible. So if you block someone, it'll just show you as being invisible. Now, if you're busy, you would use the busy. Otherwise, it would automatically show green as available, and you can always create custom messages. And if you wanted to start chatting with someone and you didn't see them listed in your chat directory, all you have to do is click right here, type the name of the person you want to start a chat with. So chat is really easy to work with. And again, all your chat settings are right here, and you just set it up according to your own preferences. Now, if anyone needs to work offline, you can click right here, and you can launch Gmail offline. And you'll probably have to go to the Chrome store. We're going to talk a little bit about that, but you'll probably have to go to the Chrome store first. So Chrome is the compatible browser with your Google Mail account. Of course, you can use other browsers, but Chrome is the most compatible. And I'm going to click right here. And when I click right here, I automatically have a tab. And you see right here where you have the web store. So you can go shopping. And so you can just click right here, and you can type Gmail offline. As soon as you type Gmail, you'll see offline. So if you needed to work offline, you would need to enable this first while you are online, and then when you're offline, you'll be able to work offline, all right? And then themes. Themes will change based on the time of day and the weather, all right? So make sure you let your end users know that. So if it's cloudy outside, then your backdrop might be dark. And if you're working at 11 p.m., your backdrop will be dark, all right? So some of the themes, and you can look at the bottom of the corner. It may have a clock, so you know it's going to change by time of day and things like that. Just kind of an FYI. Don't want you having your users to panic and say, calling the help desk and going, what is wrong with my computer? It's just, you know, look outside, see what's going on first, all right? Now, the next thing we're going to do, we're almost finished with our mail, then we're going to take a quick break. The next thing that we're going to do is to take a look at contacts. So I'm going to click right here on the drop down. You see right here? So with your contacts, you can click under mail to get your contacts, or you can click right here. You see where I'm pointing? You could also click right here to get contacts. So these are just some of the places you could click to get your contacts. I'm just going to click right here. So in your Google Mail account, you have 3 sets of contacts. My contacts, and these are the contacts that synchronize with your mobile device. So those of you that have mobile devices that you're going to be syncing up with your crew account, the synchronization takes place right here under My Contacts. And then you also have Most Contacted. Those are the 20 people you contact the most. And other contacts would be everybody else. If you needed to look at the corporate directory, you could do so. You just click on directory and everybody will be listed. Want to create a new group? Click on new group and you can create a new group. I'm going to call this my crew 18. And then click on OK. So now here's my crew 18. Now I need to populate this group. Easy. Click right here. And I can just start typing the names of people I want to be a part of my crew 18. Or I can click, I'm going to click on add, or I can just click right here and I can do a cut and paste. So if there's a distribution list that I want to add, I could just paste that distribution list right there. And the third thing that I could do, you see right here where it says other contacts, I could just go in and just, you know, select the people that I want to be a part of my crew 18. When I finish, I click right here, and then I select 18. Now watch this. I'm only selecting the crew 18, but Google is automatically going to select my contacts. Watch this. I click on apply, and I go back to my 18, and you see that? Google has also added the My Contacts label. That's because I'm under My Contacts. Now, if I didn't want these people to be part of my mobile device, this is what I do. I select everyone, click on the drop down, deselect My Contacts, click on apply. Easy. The other thing I want to do, click on more. You see you can merge and delete contacts. You can rename a group. You can delete a group. And you can also manage delegation settings. So if you wanted to share your contacts with someone else, you could do so. You just click right here on Manage Delegation Settings. So now I can also give access to my contacts to Asher. And then click on Share and Save. So now all of these people right here have access to my contacts. And let me show you what that looks like. So I'm going to go to Sydney's account, and Sydney has access to my contacts. And you see right here under Delegated Contacts, it says Philistia. So Sydney could click right here, and she would have access to all of my contacts. That's how that works. All right. Now, the next thing we're going to do, going back here, you can import and export contacts. You can print. You can find and merge duplicates. And this is really important. Restore contacts. So I'm going to click right here. I want you to keep this in mind. When you restore contacts in your Google account, it restores to a state. What does that mean? So if let's say at 8 o'clock this morning, we set up 10 new groups, all right? And then at 12, we decided we wanted to remove a person from that group. And then we said, oh, you know what? I really need to add them back. It's going to take you back to a state. Do you want your contacts to look the way they looked 10 minutes ago, an hour ago, yesterday? You understand what I'm saying? So you want to make sure you don't lose all the work you've created. So you would probably say 10 minutes ago. But if you said yesterday, the 10 that you created today would be gone. Does that make sense? You follow what I'm saying? Okay. When I'm doing end-user training, I don't show them this, all right? Restore contacts, because I don't want people getting in trouble. But you're Google guys, and you'll be there to help them. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out. Click on Cancel. Just wanted you to know that. And then the other thing you can do is sort by first and last name. So those are some of the ways in which you can work with your contacts. And then the very last thing under our Google Mail training is task. So a number of you probably work with task in your mail account. So we have task right here. So let's take a look at task. So as you see, you have this plus sign. Anytime you see a plus sign in anything Google, it gives you an opportunity to add. So I'm going to click right here on Add a Task. So we're going to add a task, and we're going to call this task Create Report. And you see right here, I'm going to click to show the details. So here's Create Report. I have the details. I can give this a date. So let's push it out to February. And I can put in some notes, like call first, and then go back to my list. I can also, as you see, indent and unindent task by going under Actions. And these are all the different things I can do with my task. The other neat feature with task is the ability to create a brand new list. So you see right here, I'm going to click on New List, and let's give this list a name. So this is going to be a list for my A team. So this is my A team list, and I'm going to click on OK. Now watch this. I'm going to take this message from Stephen, this message from Laura, and watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to go under More, and I'm going to click on Add to Task. How cool is that? Those two email messages have been added to the task list. Now, there are 3 things that tasks will not do. 2 of those things start with an R. You cannot have reoccurring tasks, and you cannot have reminders, nor can you delegate something to someone with tasks. So it doesn't have those project management features yet. So if you need tasks that are reoccurring or tasks with reminders, I'll show you how to create those using your calendar, all right? Now, we're going to take a break at 1:30. That's in like 4 minutes. But there are some cool features I want to show you in the next 4 minutes. Well, first I'm going to show you a feature that's just okay. It's not like really cool. All right. So I'm going to open this message right here. And this is something I wanted to share with you about attachments. So when you have an attachment in your Google Mail account, it's just like having attachments in your Outlook account. But we have a couple additional features. So you see right here, here's a Word document. I can click right here, and it will open this document up in its native format. It will open this document up as a Word document, because that's what it is. If I click on View, it's going to allow me to view the document as a Google Doc. We're going to talk about Google Docs later on, but I just want you to know what the view does. It's just giving you a view of that document. And this is pretty neat for somebody who didn't have Word. If they didn't have Word on their laptop, desktop, they could still take a look at the document because they could view it. Or you could download the document, which is downloading, just like downloading is now in Outlook. It will give you that document in its native format. But when you have a spreadsheet, an Excel spreadsheet, you actually have 4 options. You can click on it, open it up, and it's an Excel spreadsheet. You can view it in the Google Doc mode, just view, or you can open it as a Google spreadsheet. And we're going to talk about that later on, the Google Docs, or you can download it. I just wanted you to know that you have additional options. You can just click on them and just open them up in their native format, or you can look at them as a Google Doc or actually open it up as a Google Doc. Now for the cool features. So I got 2 minutes. So one of the features that we really like, that's really neat, is called Boomerang. So Boomerang gives you an opportunity to boomerang a message. Now, you have to go shopping. You have to go to the Chrome store to get this. So go ahead, and what you can do, you just click right here on the new tab, and then you just click on the Chrome store. You can go ahead and follow along. And when you click on the Chrome store, you want to select productivity. You see right here in the navigation, click on productivity. And then what you want to do is type Boomer. B-O-O-M-E-R. Oh. It used. Oh, thank you. I said B-O-O, but I actually didn't do it. There we go. Boomerang for Gmail. And what you want to do is to add it. I've already added it, so you don't see it. But you click on extensions, because it's an extension. And you click on Boomerang for Gmail. Now, let me show you what's so cool about this. Now that I've shown you how to get to it. This is what Boomerang does. Boomerang will allow you to send an email later. So a lot of times, I'm working late at night on an email. And let's say I'm sending an email to Stacy, and I'm working at 10 p.m., and I know she's up anyway, but I'm working at 10 p.m., but I want Stacy to get this email at 8 a.m. Eastern time. So I will click on Send Later. So I can send this an hour later, 2 hours later, the next morning, or I can be specific, which I usually am, and say 8 a.m. the next morning. That's really neat. That's one of the things that Boomerang will allow you to do. Another thing that you can do with Boomerang is boomerang a message if you don't hear back. So let's say I'm sending a message to someone, and I could say, if I don't hear back from them within a certain amount of time, boomerang it back. So I could say, If I don't hear back in an hour, if it's urgent. So let's say I need to hear from Stacy immediately, but she always gets back with me, so she's not a good example. But let's say I needed to hear from Stacy, quickly. So what will happen is it's not going to resend Stacy that email message in an hour. It's going to send it back to me, put it back in my inbox with the boomerang label. So I'll know, oh, I haven't heard from Stacy in an hour. So that's what boomerang does. Two things. It lets you send a message later and allows you to boomerang a message if you don't hear back from that person in a certain amount of time. Ryan used this a lot. He's a advocate of boomerang. He boomerangs messages. So it's a real cool feature, and I just wanted to make sure you knew about that feature. So I think I've just about told you everything that you need to know Google. I'm looking over there at the trainers to make sure if I left anything out. There's so much to say, so much to cover. But I think I've covered all we're going to do right now. So regardless, it's been 2 hours. We're going to take Stacy, how long is the break? We're going to take a 15-minute break. So we'll get back at 1:45, all right? Thank you.